Today we're going to tell you a wonderful story from Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe from chapter 5 and 6.
Peter, listen, it's all true. Edmund has seen it too. There is a country you can get to through the wardrobe. Edmund and I both got in. We met one another in there, in the wood. Go on, Edmund. Tell them all about it. What's all this about, Ed?
Oh yes, Lucy and I have been playing, pretending that all our story about a country in the wardrobe is true. There she goes again. What's the matter with her? That's the worst of young kids. They always...
Shut up! You've been perfectly beastly to Lucy ever since she started this nonsense about the wardrobe. And now you go playing games with her about it and setting her off again. I believe you did it simply out of spite.
But it's all nonsense.
Of course it is not all nonsense. That is just a point. Lucy was perfectly all right when we left home, but since we've been down here, she seems to be either going queer in the head or else turning into the most frightful liar. But whichever it is, what good do you think you will do by jeering and nagging at her one day and encouraging her the next?
I thought...
You didn't think anything at all. It is just spit. You've always liked being beastly to anyone smaller than yourself. We've seen that at school before now.
Stop it. It won't make things any better having a row between you two. Let's go find Lucy.
When Peter and Susan found Lucy, everyone could see that she had been crying.
I don't care what you think. I don't care what you say. I can tell the professor, or you can write to my mother, or you can do anything you like. I know I met a fawn in there, and I wish I'd stay there. And you are all beasts. Beasts!
Lucy was miserable, and Edmund was beginning to feel like that his plan wasn't working as well as he had expected. The two older ones were really beginning to think that Lucy was out of her mind. Peter and Susan were talking in whispers for a long time and decided that they would go and tell the whole thing to the professor.
Come in, sit down. I'm ready to listen to you.
He never interrupted till they had finished the whole story. After that, he said nothing for quite a long time.
How do you know that your sister's story is not true?
Oh, but Edmund said that they had only been pretending.
That's the point, which certainly deserves consideration, very careful consideration. For instance, if you will excuse me for asking the question, does your experience lead you to regard your brother or your sister as more reliable? I mean, which is the more truthful?
That's just the funny thing about it, sir. Up till now, I'd have Lucy every time.
Well, in general, I'd say the same as Peter, but this couldn't be true. All this about the wood and the fawn.
That is more than I know, and a charge of lying against someone whom you have always found truthful is a very serious thing. A very serious thing indeed.
We were afraid it might even be lying, and we thought there might be something wrong with Lucy.
Madness, you mean? Oh, you can make your minds easy about that. One has only to look at her and talk to her to see that she's not mad.
But then,
Logic! Why don't you teach logic at these schools? There are only three possibilities. Either your sister is telling lies, or she is mad, or she is telling the truth. You know she doesn't tell lies, then it is obvious that she's not mad. For the moment, then, and unless any further evidence turns up, we must assume that she is telling the truth.
but how could it be true, sir?
Why do you say that?
Well, for one thing, if it was true, why doesn't everyone find this country every time they go into wardrobe? I mean, there was nothing when we looked. Even Lucy didn't pretend there was.
What has that to do with it?
Well, sir, if things are real, they are there all the time.
Are they?
But there was no time. Lucy had no time to have gone anywhere, even if there was such a place. She came running after us the very moment we were out of the room. It was less than a moment, and she pretended to have been away for hours.
That is the very thing that makes her story so likely to be true. If there were really a door in this house that leads to some other world, if I say she had got into another world, I should not be at a surprised to find that the other world had a separate time of its own, so that however long you stay there, it would never take up any of our time. On the other hand, I don't think many girls of her age would invent that idea for themselves. If she had been pretending, she would have hidden for a reasonable time before coming out and telling her story.
But do you mean that really? But do you really mean, sir, that there could be other worlds all over the place, just around the corner like that?
Nothing is more probable. I wonder what they do teach them at these schools.
But what are we to do?
My dear young lady, there is one plan which no one has yet suggested, and which is well worth trying.
What's that?
We might all try minding our own business.
That was the end of that conversation. I hope you enjoyed this show.